Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Team Time Trial number 79. We are out on the Innsbruck ring for 3 laps. It's going to be a leg snapper today with 672 teams, 4,072 racers, 87 countries. Is that right? And 9 total zones throughout the day. We had racing today already in zone 1 with Team Arrow taking down in the Viennas. It looks like with a 38-13, a couple other times set with the espressos at a 34-39 dirt diggler. We'll keep our eyes on all of that. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle obviously next to me. And we've got riders already on course, Dave. We better jump right on into it.
Yeah, fantastic, Nathan. Here we go as we hit out with authority here. Number 79. That is awesome to hear. Things have really changed. The focus on this event has become paramount for so many riders being part of the Zwift Racing League. Our friends at the WTRL have done. Nathan, I don't know of anybody on planet Earth who's working harder, maybe outside of some frontline healthcare workers, to be fair, out there. Actually, they're basically digging in as hard as humans can to try to make this series happen. So again, Stephen, Martin, thank you so much for all your hard work. And this is it. This is the Platinum League. You mentioned 8 different zones. Some have already happened, scanning the globe. This is the Platinum League. These are the heaviest of the heavy hitters. And we have got, Nathan, I'm going to go right out there and say today's Vienna League is going to be maybe the best WTRL race we've ever seen. 2020 is back with their ZRL team. You got Kolchinski, Reznikov joining Paulus, Backus. This team is locked and loaded. And for the first time, we have this new parity happening with the women because Socks for Watch, they also are firing on all cylinders. They've been the queens of team time trialing. I'm going to throw it to you, Nathan. I'm not sure what you're going to jump in with first. There's so much racing going on amongst all of the different categories, and it looks like we found the extra turbo snails.
Yeah, we're jumping right on in with Evo here. And the Evo, they were the first seed to go out, so that means they were the slowest to get into the Platinum. We'll see if they can pull off something, though. They showed up with plenty of riders, it looks like, here, as we're hammering away with a total of 8. So they're going to have a pretty good race out here. Now, I did just see Viggo Moore up in the upper right-hand corner, if you didn't notice that. He's saying go, go, go. Are we having a BRT team in the espressos out here today? That'll be interesting to see. And we'll get our splits popping up here. Our splits today, they're going to be at, let's see here real quick. Splits are on the day, hammering away for us here. I got to get this out of my way here. I got all kinds of things in the way here. 8 kilometers, 16 kilometers, and 22 kilometers on the day for the splits. So we should have that a little ways after the leg snapper. I think it's going to be through around the first sprint section as we're looking at the Viennas here for the splits. We'll go ahead and get the espressos up on course here and see where things are at. So far, starting World Elite Zwifters, Vision D-Pack, as you can see, extra turbo snails with Evo, and Callus Esport Racing Team. Brat Pack is out there, BRT. That's going to be Volendam, No Pins, Cryo RDT Vultures. Restart ODZ is out there as well, and PO Auto obviously being the fastest last week. That was a big conversation that I ended up not pulling through as I thought it would in the ZRL Premier League, actually, Dave. I was surprised to see PO Auto not showing up quite as fast as I had expected after dominating last week. So we'll see. Perhaps things are going to change up a little bit this week in the WTRL TTT.
I was in complete agreement, Nathan. I was stunned at how many upsets or surprises I would say we saw there. But we're kind of back to the proving ground now that is the WTRL. It's really such an interesting time, though. So 26.8 kilometers of racing today. That's going to be 3 laps on this circuit. Nathan, I guess I got to put it out there. Let's talk leg snapper really quickly here. If you look at the course profile, it looks like an electrocardiogram and someone's having a heart attack, right? That spike that you see is short, steep, brutal. What other adjectives do I need to add there?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially very interesting the way that it's going to be tackled too, because Usually the way that I race this course is very different, I would think, than what we're going to see coming from the riders here. I didn't really see any orange numbers on the right-hand side. Maybe I wasn't paying attention for that moment there for a second there. But, the expectation of kicking into orange numbers up and over the top of the leg snapper, I mean, that's the way that I would want the team to ride it if they got the ability because that is really the section that you're going to lose the most amount of time on to the rest of the rest of the field out there, just because of the reality that at 11, 12, 13% gradient, you lose so much time per watt per kilogram. It's just a huge amount of time that you can gain if your entire team essentially sprints over the top of that 30-second climb. So if you got that kind of a punch, you really can separate the wheat from the chaff there, I think, when it comes to the teams out here and whether or not they have the kind of kick to take on the leg snapper.
Yeah, Nathan, when you look at this discipline, again, I have to remember we're 79 times the WTRL has started, and we'll be finishing the 79th about an hour from now. But one thing to remember is some folks have never seen this before. This is the team time trial. It's 8 riders, or the maximum number of team riders that you can start with, down to, I believe it is 5. It's funny because we've been using this discipline that WTRL really resurrected in the ZRL races. So that's Mondays and Tuesdays on Zwift. Actually, speaking of 2020, Nikki Cranmer is going to be on that World of Zwift show with OJ Borg and company that airs on Fridays. So there's so much going on that you remember that this is where it all started. These are the roots. So basically, Nathan, it's 8 rider teams and the time taken off of the 4th rider's wheel out of this group. So you could start, I believe some teams have started with 4 and finished with 4. Certainly not ideal.
No, it's not. And you really do need that 8th rider. I mean, 1 rider is going to make a difference. If you show up with 6, okay, good to go. You really do. The number of bodies that you have out there matters hugely because of the snowballing effect of a pack. So essentially you end up with a mini peloton a little bit there, taking pulls toward the front. And you can really start, what would be the word I'm looking for here? But powering off the front, sprinting off the front, gunshotting, taking. Well, I wouldn't call it. What I'm aiming at here is more like what kind of accelerations can you push off the front in order to keep that speed as high as possible, with enough bodies. So if you only have 4, the accelerations are going to open up huge gaps. This group of 4 behind here that's making a chase here from Z-Sun, you can kind of weld this back together, keep the speed as long as these riders here push the pace. And 5, 6. Now they're going to need a little bit more than this. They're struggling. That looks like for sure. But if they're able to get this down here and not slow down at the front, Brownie, I would push on if I were him, and I would just force Anderson to push 7 watts per kilogram where everybody sits on. Maybe the leg snapper though did a little bit too much to them here, and they need to really put this back together. But with 8 riders, you can kind of have a group of 3 or 4 just slingshotting themselves off the front over and over again. Well, everybody just kind of creates this blob behind that can just continually draft off of that. But then sometimes somebody doesn't do their job correctly and doesn't shut down that gap, and that's what happened there, it looked like.
Yeah, speaking to the pictures right now, you saw that they brought it back together, and you can see it's almost like if you work in a restaurant, you'd know what this was, where you marry bottles of ketchup together, right? Pouring one into another to make one full bottle. You're trying to make one full team here right now, but now you're going to have to completely reset. The order is going to be different. They've done a good job of recovering here, and this is one of the top teams in the league here of WTRL. So with 8 different time zones that happen around the globe, this is the Platinum League, the top 11 teams that have qualified to race here. Independent of what zone you raced in, we take the best 11 times on aggregate and put them into this zone. Not all teams, sometimes Aero is a good example of a team that would be racing with us, but they don't because they're in Australia. The time doesn't really work out that well for them. But this is one of the teams that we see quite a bit out here. You're going to see a lot of Welsh flags popping. So they're having a little bit of a weird moment here. It's kind of gone back and forth. You saw that split evenly like 2 amoebas, and then now we've got 1 rider dangling off of the front here. So Nathan, even the best teams can struggle getting their rhythm out here. We've talked so much about the discipline of team time trialing, how unique this is, what a challenge it is for the top riders to empty their tanks out here without dropping the teammates that are working really, really hard to make up that group. Nathan, you were mentioning, what you're trying to do. I was thinking of the term fuel injected, right? You want to keep pumping more fuel and fire in at the front to keep the speed high, but not like this.
No, and I think it's a tough one a lot of times because there is a reality that pressing the pace at the front with accelerations on Zwift gets rewarded hugely with speed. But if you're the rest of the teammates, it also depends a lot of times on what view they're using. In my opinion, now again, I'm using a lot of my own opinion with a lot of this, but this is my tips is like view 3. First person point of view, you can respond to that avatar exactly how it's supposed to be drafting. You can double wheel like you can't. You're not supposed to do that too much in real life, right? You're not supposed to overlap wheels too much. It can cause a lot of issues. But you can double wheel so much more in game and kind of work your way around an avatar in a way that continually grabs that draft. You can respond immediately as to whether or not it's pulling away from you. If you're waiting to see 1 meter, 2 meter, close the gap up top, you are already way too late as on that gap when it comes to team time trialing well. They should all be in view 3 in my opinion, and they should all be responding immediately to any gaps that open up whatsoever.
Yeah, there you go. View 3. That's a great tip, Nathan, no doubt. So if you were doing this half-wheeling all over the place in this group, you would be in danger of crashing riders every 5 seconds. But in Zwift, as Nathan mentioned, you absolutely look how tight that group is. So that's the blob formation as we take a look at the 2 different ways of doing this. If you watch that, and I know a lot of people have that Matt Gardner video that's up on YouTube about how let's see, that's Saris the Pros Closet, correct? The team?
Correct.
I believe
100%,
so.
100%.
Yeah, and they show you the single file technique, which is really it's so old school. But there's some things about old school, Nathan. There's a reason why they've done it that way for a long time because it works. However, we are really pushing the envelope, and you got to remember too, Nathan, with Zwiftcraft. A phrase that I really, really like because there's things that about the game of Zwift that are not like in real life. And if you can crack the code on those, figure those out, it's going to give you an advantage out here. I mean, you're never done learning when you're out here riding on Zwift as well, and that's part of what makes it so much fun. And there's anticipation in life as well, hope that you're going to get stronger, and this is going to be now Z-Sun's got this back together. This is nice to see, Nathan. I mean, we've watched them go through some ups and downs, but they're back on the up right now. And here we go, jumping in again. We're already a third of the way in here in Innsbruck, Nathan. It's only 26.8K. Leg snapper factoring in 3 times out here today. This brutal short climb. It's like throwing a hand grenade in the middle of the teams.
Yeah, and look at the times here. So we're starting to get some times that are going to help us understand what's happening out on course. As you can see, Turbo Snails 10:37 that they came through as the first ones out on course. Z-Sun came through with a 10:41. So they got a battle on their hands between those 2 teams we were just watching. But now we're looking at Callus Esports Racing Team 10:28, holding down a solid 3rd overall right now. Vision D-Pack, they had an amazing ride in the ZRL Premier League, but Brat Pack are coming out swinging. And I'm not surprised by that one bit with the amazing, I mean, they really had quite the ride on Monday, the BRT team, and I have a feeling that quite a few of the athletes that are involved in the Brat Pack today are also going to be out here today with a 10:04, a full 9 seconds up, currently holding down that first place. They were the 6th to go, which means they weren't even halfway up on the leaderboard from last week. Let's see if they can try and challenge PO Auto, restart Cryogen out there, no pins R3R. They're really going to be the ones to be watching out for. Or, there's also the reality of World Elite Zwifters. They didn't show up quite as strong. They were, I think, 10th on Monday in the Premier League. So last week we saw them, as you can see, off the podium. So we'll see if World Elite Zwifters show up with something more today because they might be coming back with a little bit of vengeance.
I was stunned by that, Nathan. I mean, I didn't necessarily expect, it wasn't like they were a mortal lock to win, but I was really surprised to see them outside of the top 5. Actually, to be honest, I mean, they were my pick on World of Zwift, so I saw them winning, let's be honest. don't need to sugarcoat it for you here. Every now and then you swing and you miss out here with these predictions, that's for sure. But I don't know. You never really know what happened, Nathan. I unfortunately wasn't able to do the research required to figure out what happened that day. So, but nobody in professional racing makes excuses anymore, right? You either have it or you don't. You don't want to diminish the ride of the champions by doing exactly that. But here we go, picking up a team that's down to, well, I think 4 riders. I can't see behind me right now, so I'm not sure if maybe we got some riders dangling right back there. But with the 2/3 of the race ahead of you, down to 4, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it does look like it's 4 riders. I believe they may have started with 4. Hammering way off the front, though, it looks like it is going to be Zorgland. Is he actually riding for WEZ? It looks like that is going to be. And coming out of Sweden here, so that's a good pickup there. Robert's in there now, coming out of Australia, trying to, as you'd say, weld this back together here, 12K and halfway through. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the Viennas, but we are going to be covering Viennas and jumping in with the Frappes. But we are in with the first team to go out here, and that is going to be the Watt Bombs. And they were able to hold on to their spot in the WTRL Team Time Trial Premier League last week. I do believe they just did, though, as they were the first ones to go out here. Start taking a look at some times here. And Wonder Women, they were flying last week. I raced like a girl as well. And then it's going to be Sox or Watts. They were the 4th seed, which is not a usual spot for them to sit. 12-17, though, currently coming from the TBR Watt Bombs there. 12-17. 12-05, there's Z-Sun Hypernova. 11-54. Aeonian, big gap all the way up to Wonder Women, who's flying up there. Almost a minute. Over a minute 15 at this point, coming in for Wonder Woman. I have a feeling that they're out here looking for an amazing result. Now, 2020, where are they?
Well, so my question is, we're only seeing 7 teams here, and why would the Wonder Women have already gone? Because they should have been the top seeded team with their win last week. So I'm confused, I'll admit.
No,
we should be seeing... Yeah, exactly. So, you know what? There's been so much going on with data and just massive amounts of interest and volume that I am always willing to wait for a moment. But I did know that 2020 was racing today. I saw some of the riders on Zwift Companion are actually out there. So we'll figure out what's going on. As we've got right now, the TBR Watt Bomb team. Let's focus on that. This team is right now giving us a really good example, Nathan. This squad is making it work for them here. Single file formation, so they're running the old school drill here, or more or less. Sometimes, Nathan, you see a hybrid of the two, don't you? Talking about blob versus single file, or yeah, there's a middle ground there as well.
Yeah, and it looks like these 5, they're doing a pretty good job, actually, rolling through well. Dustbus there shooting me a couple of messages, and she is absolutely loving the TTT and training up a few riders. She's saying amongst this crew. So I had a feeling that there was something happening, and it looks like there was a registration issue registration in zone 3. So perhaps we'll end up getting some times here coming on through, but they registered for, it sounds like, for 2020 accidentally. So we'll see if we can maybe get something to pull off for 2020 as they're out there hammering away. But we are seeing Shihan here now, and the Despaz, Holt, and then Mara, as well as Paul from the Watt Bombs here. They're holding down that 7th place. We'll see if they can do something with it here, because the reality is that there are plenty of other zones competing for a spot here in the Platinum League. So Z-Sun here. They're currently sitting in that 6th place there, 12:04. Wonder Women, Sox Watts. Man, Wonder Women have been on fire, though. That's the conversation here, really. It's going to be the Sisu, I Race Like a Girl versus Sox Watts versus Wonder Women. This might be the most hotly contested between those 3, actually, that we've ever seen. Because usually, Sisu, I Race Like a Girl is a little bit further back these last couple weeks, but they are right on the heels there, Sox or Watts.
Yeah, you know what? We're not going to see 2020, so let's focus on what we do have here. And again, Wonder Women, they would have loved the competition, I tell you what, because that would have been as good as it gets when you look at the big teams out here. And really, those are the names that you should focus on. Wonder Women, without a doubt, here, as they come in for their first ever time defending, as last week's winner, Socks for Watts, has been basically the queens of the hill since June, I would say. They have rarely missed a step. I can only think of a couple times that they didn't end up taking the win in the Platinum League. And then Sisu, another team that's, oh, well, there you go. Now 2020 is popping up after we just explained why they weren't, because they were in zone 3.
Because someone's awesome listening to us that are in the
there we
production
go.
right now.
All right. That's awesome.
So somebody's doing favors in the background is what is happening there, as they are out on course. I did see them. You can see their pro jerseys. I mean, they're right.
There's their split,
they're on the
11,
right-hand
18.
side, so they're doing a solid job
tied.
here so far. Whoa, tied. They're right up against it here, Dave.
Yeah, tied at 11-18 there with Sisu. So here we go. This is the race that you've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. This one is going to be as good as it gets. It's not 2 teams battling. It's 4 teams that are really going to be fighting for that top spot. I don't want to sell our friends at Aeonian Short. They're sitting in 5th right now at 11:54. You go back to Z-Sun, the Hypernovas at 12:04, and then just 1 second back to Sisu. These are all super strong teams that we're looking at here at 12:17 the time for. So that's as tight as we've seen it there at 8K. We're out on the Innsbruck ring. We got ourselves an absolute Donnybrook going on, Nathan.
Tie, Dave. Wow.
This is bananas, folks. And that tie, remember, sitting, we'll call it 16 seconds right now off of the Wonder Women. Nathan, this will be worth it. If you've only watched one bike race in your life, go ahead and grab a bowl of popcorn, sit down, because this one is going to be a 4-star thriller.
That's a great recovery there. Bowl of popcorn. That was amazing there, Dave. The quick switch up. That was one of the best ever I've ever heard. All right, 6 watts per kilogram. Sanson right now. Hanson. See, I'm all over the place now. Morer, and then it's going to be pulled. Vita Kenelan, Rachel Elliott, Lethbridge, Claire Good, Sox for Watts are hammering away, trying to bring back 16 seconds. 2020 have taken over with a little adjustment on their 1 second adjustment there. They're 16.6 in so far. They were one of the last to start, it looks like, actually. Sisu Du is in here as well. Here it comes. It looks like to the front. Is that going to be Vicky Nealon? I thought that it was just hammering right on through, but it's going to be Hansen that's going to lead them over the top of the leg snapper now at 37. This is going to get up into the 60 kilometer per hour in just a moment. We'll see if they start using those super tucks, 4.1 watts per kilogram, and we'll see if this time starts coming out. Again, now back to the tie at 1:18. 2020 here, trying to bring back some time over the Sox for Watts team. This is amazing. I was not expecting this one bit here. Plenty of racing yet to go, though, for these ladies. We're going to jump back on over to the espresso. We'll jump in with the frappes in just a moment as we switch things up. It looks like things have really gotten interesting here for WEZ. This is not what you want to see at all. Complete disorganization. They're being caught by Vision here at this point. So I think WZ are struggling out there now, as Kurt's here from Vision, Pettinger as well as Rue. We've got Netzer, it looks like, Saunders, Wakefield. They got a solid team showing up on the day. And let's see what we got for splits in just a moment here, Dave. But it looks like Vision having a solid day, already catching with 1 lap to go, the WZ team.
Yeah, Vision worth their weight in gold, and unfortunately, this is the first time I'd ever say this, Nathan. World Elite Zwifters, as we say, a dog's breakfast. This one's just all over the shop. Just something you don't expect to see out here. So there must be some big changes happening at World Elite Zwifters right now, as far as with the ZRL and racing on Mondays, and we'll have to figure out what's going on there. But Nathan, let's get into these splits. As the Brat Pack putting a 20:05 up, that's going to be 9 seconds faster than Vision D-Pack. So this is real. I mean, if you look, it stayed exactly the same gap there over that last 8
let me help you
kilometers
out
of
here
racing.
for 1 second, though. Let me just do something real quickly here for you. There it is, where it sat prior to 16K, 10:04. Then tied this in the men's race with Espresso as well. We've got something from second all the way through 5th place. 1 second, 2 second differences here. So this is pretty amazing as it comes in as well within the men's race and the Espressos. Everybody is out here looking to take down number 79. And you know that this has everything to do with the launch of the ZRL. People are wanting to learn TTT. They're wanting to get the best that they possibly can at this discipline now, because so much is on the line. WTRL has started some quite the movement here, as there are so many people, so many teams looking to be the absolute best week in and week out. Look at this here. 1 second different. Now, again, Brat Pack, though, have kind of walked away 11 seconds. But, Dave, Vision here versus Restart, Volendam, Pio Auto, no pins. They're all in it for second still.
You know how they're always talking about next level? This isn't next level. This is quantum leap that we're talking about. The level of competition is going to be absolutely insane from here on out. The WTRL has always been great, but adding the ZRL in, this is what we've been waiting for. So these splits are going to be critical because the course doesn't change. It's 3 laps out here. So if your team starts to fade, if you went out too hard, well, that's a lack of experience for sure. But most of these teams racing in the platinum level, they don't lack for experience. We see that name Vigo Moore popping up. This 16-year-old rider is just what I would have to think he's going to be the youngest that we've got racing in the Platinum League. He is such a huge talent. So about half of the teams have come through. Pio Auto is just a massively talented squad. No pins, R3R. This is another, the men's and the women's race here, when you talk about the highest level, women being Vienna, the men being Espresso. Nathan, usually on any given week, one of the races stands out, and it could be either one. You never really know. I think a lot of times the Vienna race is more enjoyable for me. But that being said, you look at this now, we have got 2 of the best editions of the WTRL that we've ever seen going on, and I have a feeling the Mochas and the Frappes are having the same kind of experience. This Innsbruck Ring course is really, really interesting. It's such a unique challenge for our Team Time Trial squads. More splits are coming in right now, sitting on a 20:04. 20:04 is the fastest time for the Pack, but they're going to have to weather the storm. It's going to be an absolute barrage coming through from the ODZ team, Pio Auto, and Cryo, the Vultures.
Just wanted to jump back in with the Viennas real quick here as we see Socks for Watts making the catch, actually, of the Z-Sun flying right on through them. So they're having a good day, and I have a feeling they may be kind of stoking the engine on the second half of this course here as they come into their final lap. They've got one to go now. And Socks for Watts, I think they're going to try Wonder Women, though. Look at that time from Wonder Women.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Nathan, I want to make make a point about what you saw. There's a very clean pass. Now, if you are, it was Z-Sun that was passed there. They have every right in the world now to start trying to pace off of this team. And you can see that even that is too big of an ask. This team is absolutely on their A game when you talk about Socks for Watts right here. But the gap has gone over 20 seconds. We are in the era of the Wonder Women. Nathan, didn't see that. Well, we had always said no one stays on top forever. And right now, a pitched battle. Socks for Watts wants to retake the crown as the queens of Team Time Trialing here. You can see a lot of the high-no riders here that we're looking at. This team has been the all-star Team Time Trialing team. It's a mix of road racers and triathletes coming from the United Kingdom and the United States for the most part. And Nathan, they have set the standard out here. But for all of our fans of the WTRL, it's so exciting to see the changes happening. Let's look at the split. 21:54 for Wonder Women. Socks for Watts, who were just with there, 22:11. I'm still waiting to see what we're going to get from 2020. Do they get closer, Nathan? I think you're going to find them tucked nicely there in between the Wonder Women and Socks for Watts when this next split comes back. Talking about 2020.
Yeah, we'll jump back in with them in just a moment. We definitely wanted to jump around a little bit and grab a couple of the other. We would jump in with the Frappes as soon as we possibly can. We did see the Rhinos there in the A category, which would be, and I still struggle when it comes to between the categories here. But in the that would be, is that going to be the Frappes in the A's sitting in? I have to double check this here. No, lattes, which is the lattes. But we're trying to jump on over. We only 2 Zwifts out there today, everybody, just so everybody knows. So we are looking to try and jump in with the Frappes as soon as we possibly can. We'll at least catch them on the back end of their racing as the Espressos and the Viennas do finish up out here. But Rat Pack, again, walking away still with this one with that 20:05. They've kept the gap steady. It's about the same, Vision, able to hold it right there at that 20:05, about 11-second gap. Didn't gain a whole lot, so it looks like BRT went out super hard and were able to keep steady, as well as Vision. Now, Vision here are up against it, though, with Restart ODZ and PO Auto right on their heels. Volendam, we're looking at here, they were sitting in that 5th place. And then after that, no pins. They're a little ways out of it with that 6th place at that point, it looks like, with those splits. But within striking distance for a podium, I think Volendam, they could make something happen. It really comes down to the final leg snapper, though, I think.
Well, this is one of the OG teams of WTRL when you look at Volendam right here, as they, unfortunately, it shows you it can happen to the best of them out here. Is this team now starting to suffer from some chinks in the armor here as gaps are opening up, as they're starting to recover here a little bit? Nathan has talked us through this a few times and really explained to us that what you're really looking for now is, okay, not a great situation. Let's make the best of what we've got. So the guys that come flying through this group, let's try to carry that speed. Everybody else drop in line, and let's get back into a rotation. And it looks like the reality is we're down to 6 riders right now. So, Nathan, here's a question coming in from Greyhound and Whippets on National Be Nice to Dogs Day. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it is a perfect person to be hearing from. Is there drafting both with wheels on trainers, direct drive trainers, or rollers? Is drafting different for each setup? I'll let you say. Go ahead, Nathan.
So that's going to be the same across the board. You may feel a little bit of difference when it does come to the real world feel. But it's across the board the same. Power is power, and the speed that you get out of drafting from drafting on another rider is going to be the same across the board. So you are not going to have any difference other than whether or not you get any feel out of the trainer. But the speed is exactly the same that you're going to be getting on. Power is something that a lot of people say. Now, whether or not you have to produce more force or less force, a lot of times it comes to different muscular abilities too. I mean, whether or not some people like to spin, some people like to mash. There's a lot of arguments out there about, well, trainer difficulty and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm of the strong opinion that power is power. And if your power meter is correct, is your power meter, whether it's in the direct drive trainer, if it's in a power meter, as long as you have some sort of power source that is reading correctly, power is power. So no, there isn't going to be really any kind of a difference there. All the drafting is going to be the same, because at the end of the day, and we talk about this a lot in the WTRL, and this is where you learn it the most. You'll see the difference between these teams. A lot of times you will see a difference of a full watt per kilogram, half a watt per kilogram, but another team just produced more speed because they used the draft well. They gamed it correctly, and they recognized it wasn't just about the power, it was about keeping speed through each and every one of the sections. So at the end of the day, speed is still king. Power is not the only thing. Power is what gets the avatar moving, but it's whether or not the avatar keeps moving at the speeds you want it to.
All right, picking up Volendam again as they hit the leg snapper here, Nathan, 7%. The grade.
Look at the one dropping off saying, "Go, just go! I'm done off the back," and it's like, take your 4 that can survive there, Dave.
Yeah, and that's it, right, Nathan? It's hard to say goodbye, as they say, but sometimes you have to and carry on. It looks like they're down to 5 now as they're in the home stretch here where the horses can smell the barn. They pick up the pace, and that's exactly what's happening here. You can see the Super Tuck being deployed. So, all right, not for long, though, Nathan, as this is a beautiful, beautiful course out here as we're in Innsbruck. Last lap well underway. We're looking at a battle royale in the Vienna, espresso, and frappe categories that we're jumping in with here today. And we'll be jumping in. We'll be having to really move quickly from race to race here because we're going to start getting some finishing times not all that far off. And you found Snickers, Nathan.
Here we go with Snickers, R3R. No pins, R3R out there hammering away. They had really good ride in the Premier League on Monday. And Richards here, Harner, it looks like, Koto, and a few others. Well, nope, not riding, actually. The R3R, it's going to be Harner, actually, at the back here. So there's only 5 riders here, but they've had some pretty good rides recently. They're still battling for a podium, I think. They have to work it out for them, but they do hammer here, 28-20, tied up there with Callus Esports. Actually, it looks like Callus and them are now going to be the real battle as they come on through. Brat Pack still distancing themselves easily there. It looks like at this point, I think Backpack can be walking away with this one, and that's why they were right up against it with Canyon Esports on Monday, as you can see. So it looks like things are paying off for the BRT team.
Yeah, that's the kind of gap that you're looking for. That gives you a little bit of breathing room, I'd say. But I think, Nathan, it's fair in this sport. You never back off the gas. Even hearing that split, that wouldn't change the way that they're racing at all. No pins. It's great to see them getting involved in the esports and racing here on Zwift, as they're supporting quite a few riders out here now. 5 riders, time taken off of the 4th. So you got that nice safety there too, Nathan. Such a big difference in confidence when you have 5 versus 4. It's night and day.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks like they're working really, really well together here. We're going to see if we can move back just a little ways. Cryo RDT struggling out there today, it looks like. And here's one of the top teams, Restart. Dan J. Boniface now to the front here, as you can see. And they're coming in with a 2020, battling up against Vision Deepak there. 4 seconds is the difference. So this is for a podium spot. This final kick over this climb, it's going to matter. Whether or not, now this will be interesting. Look at how many riders they have, though. If they can circle up a little bit through here, give a little bit of a kicks on the downhill, this extra kilometers per hour, if people roll through, will really, really matter. If they can get this up to 65 kilometers per hour plus. See on the front there, Cunningham getting into Super Tuck. Now the others rolling through. No kicks still really coming through. We'll have to see if it's going to pay off for them here. They're probably suffering 182 beats per minute right now from Cunningham. Obviously a tough day so far.
All right, so your fast time at that last check. This is really, really telling. Solid checks here. 27:26. Slotting in at second is going to be P.O. Otto with a 27:42. In at third is that Restart ODZ team at 27:44, just 2 seconds behind them. Boy, this is close. Every pedal stroke is going to matter out here. You want to turn yourself into a wattage cottage out, because Vision Deepak is very close to getting up onto the podium for the bronze medal with a 27:46. And 5th right now is going to be Volendam. They're at 28:05. So that's an updated look at your top 5 here for our elite espresso category. And they're all within we've got right here about 5K to go.
Yeah, and you can see the level just going up insanely now after the launch of the ZRL, because look at Brat Pack at 27:27, almost 2 minutes back to Z-Sun Red Giants, World Elite Zwifters there, Cryo RDT, a minute and a half almost at this point. So I think that there's a new tier starting to develop now with Brat Pack, Vision, PO Auto, Restart ODZ, those top 4, even Volendam, they're kind of in the conversation still, but these top 4 I think are really showing that they're the cream of the crop here, and going to be battling it out in the ZRL community for some of them to try and take a spot in the Premier League, and they're showing they definitely worth their weight here as they come on through with about a K and a half to go. We'll watch on through for some of the rest of the espresso. Then it looks like some of the women are about to just start their final leg snapper, as well as the team we were talking about earlier that we were able to start getting some numbers for. This is going to be 2020 with During here, Kolchinsky and Reznikov hammering away as Reznikov leads things out over the top.
Well, and this is one of the real stories happening in the ZRL right now. When you look at Reznikov and Kolchinsky, these 2 riders, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but basically came out of nowhere. A little different stories, actually. Reznikov, a world-class triathlete out of Israel, where Kolchinsky has just really ridden on Zwift and honed her craft to the point where I've never seen anyone jump into the deep end of the pool quite the way Kristen has. Charlotte Backus, who's the captain of the team, she brought a tremendous amount of knowledge with her from her Socks for Watts days, racing out of Utah here. So she's one of a couple Americans on this team. We mentioned Jasmine During out here, and I want to make sure I have it right, because this team has a lot of resources. We also have Natalia Franco, the Colombian rider. Natalia is basing herself in Tennessee, where she is in Knoxville at the University of Tennessee right now. And that's a big part of the tenets of the 2020 team with the young riders, education. And really, this team has so many things going for it. But Nathan, when you want to talk about athletic achievements, they have such a bright future ahead of them. There's no team that has more room to who's already great with actual room to improve. That is really rare that you see a team at this level who can can still actually get better. There's Reznikov and Kilchinski. They have taken massive pulls out here today. These two riders, I'd have to say, Nathan, credit to Nikki Cranmer, credit where it's due. She found two riders in the Zwift community that were exceptional and immediately got them up to speed here with riders like the experienced Shayna Powless, who is one of the pride and joy of that team, of esports, of the Oneida Nation. Shayna has her brother racing in the Tour de France. Her partner plays in the NFL. Shayna knows nothing but the platinum standard in her life. Absolutely an incredible human being, and there she is with a big win yesterday. The team rode incredibly well, and Shayna wins Leith Hill After Party race yesterday with this team around here. Nathan, they're racing together every single day. Today is another day at the office, and I think today's a good day.
I think so too. Now, I had a question coming on through about the current course record. Sox Watts does hold a 36.27. I have a feeling that may fall today. We'll see though. That's the old school Sox Watts though that set that. So it'll be interesting to see if perhaps that stands and nobody's able to overtake that because of the way that Sox Watts is. Well, it's kind of. I mean, they lost Charlotte Backus, they lost Lethbridge, they lost a couple of riders out there, but it'll be interesting to see if because of those trading situations within the teams, if that will just be stuck there, or if it's going to be overtaken there today, perhaps by Wonder Woman. UTT 2757, R3R, Fleetwood Mac. That looks like, I don't know.
Right. 33:03 was the fastest we'd ever seen from World Elite Zwifters. How could someone go 6 minutes fast?
Yeah, that seems a little out of control there. We'll have to wait and see. I'll ask you, hey, Martin, let's just get Martin in here. Martin,
I think
UTT
he'll find that
at a 27 minutes. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be standing, is it?
Sorry, I was actually doing something else. What
what was that? 27:57, a 6 minutes fully by UTT for the course records. I have a feeling perhaps set a little bit off there. Is that correct?
We don't allow motorcycles, do we?
Yeah, that doesn't look right at all. I would imagine. I think that record could have been set earlier today, and it may well be that we haven't got an update yet on their pen time.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to say we're going to hold on that for right now.
Yeah, we're going to hold
Nathan,
on the course records. Yeah, thank you, Martin. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I have a feeling. Good idea there. Good idea. If you want them right, I probably don't even show it, Nathan. Just take it off the tape.
No more explanation needed. We're going to move right on here. This is what we do know. Wonder Woman 29:53. So 2020, Nathan wasn't able to come inside of that time of Sox for Watts. So the legends are standing up for themselves. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Sox for Watts refusing to lay down. Wonder Woman continuing to pour it on. 2020, the new kids on the block. As far as not new kids on the block, now that team has been going since I think 2008. They've been around a long time, but this esports edition that we're looking at right now with Shayna Powless, this is a reset. Good way to put it, right, Nathan? Bringing in some new riders, some fresh blood, esports. I think a lot of things have been changing. Kolchinski was just named to the U.S. national team for the World Championships coming up on Zwift, and that's going to be in early December, the second week of December. The Canadian Jasmine During is an Olympic bronze medal winner in the pursuit. So this team, what a great mix of new riders, experienced riders, but the enthusiasm remains sky high as we jump in with Sisu Du here in Langer, Nathan. They're at 26.3K, so total distance today is 26.8, give or take a meter or two, so they're just about home.
Yeah, we'll be bringing in results in just a moment here. It looks like Natalia Franco, perhaps, with a rough day out there, finishing up solo. She did start with the team, maybe took some hard pulls early, and then find herself off the back here. But, you do burn matches in order to try and get the best times you possibly can. Maybe had a little bit of an issue out there. I think Franco was maybe racing yesterday as well, maybe a hard couple of days on the bike. But Natalia here off the back and just going to be bringing it home. Getting a good workout, though.
That's tough. Let's get it. Yeah. So let's get a look at it. This is going to be Angela Nath here. Another rider, I believe, was. Well, I'm going to, before I make that statement, I'll make sure I'm right. But I Race Like a Girl is the team here. I was thinking, did she get named to the Canadian Olympic team?
That's a
to
good
do my research.
question. I do not believe so. I know Summerlin did, but I'm not positive on Nath. She could probably
We'll
just
do
tell
our
us in
research
game
here.
right
I
now.
apologize.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a completely wrong. Just black. Here's a black screen, everyone. Just
Now
like
I
you
broke the
enjoyed.
Zwift.
You
Uh-oh.
broke the
Yes.
Zwift. You broke the Zwift. And so this is going to be Treve Eddy coming from the Rhinos team. We're in with the Frappes now, as we've got Martin Jortvik here making his way to the line, and going to be a solid ride here coming in. It looks like, is Martin actually riding for in the Frappes? Are we in the right category here? It looks like solid efforts here, but I think I'm actually jumping in with the Mochas, actually. So I think most of the Frappes have finished on the day. We'll go through theirs, but we do have a little bit of a kick here coming on through from Lise as well. Excuse me, not Lise, but the rest of the SZ team as they make their way to the finish line with a solid 42.36 right now. Strand there from SZ, and nice little kicks here, actually, across that World Championship line.
Nathan, my crowdsourcing worked. Angela Nath did receive the nomination to represent Canada at the World Championships. We were talking about Kolchinski earlier. Well, Canada's version is the triathlete out of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Nice job, Angela.
Absolutely awesome. Very cool to see. And the World Championships, speaking of that, I really do think that you were speaking to a little earlier about 2020 and new kids on the block and getting some fresh blood in there. And I think that there's just we're in a, how can I say, I don't want to go full on Aladdin, whole new world on everybody, but we're in a whole different, really, it's another dimension.
A new
It's
era.
a new era. There we
go.
go. There we go. Yes, a new era. And, I just think that this reality of esport, and I mean, it's a big shakeup, that's for sure. So I think that everything is mixing new. It's a whole new set of DNA in some ways too. So it's not traditional cycling, that's for sure. But it does take aspects of traditional cycling and mixes it up with gaming in a whole new thing. It's its thing in and of itself.
Such a great point, Nathan. I would say about 70% of what makes you a great bike racer would make you great at esports racing, but that's not the entire package. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a pretty good estimation there too. I would say, being around this for a while, that I think a lot of times people just thought it was all about just an exercise game, exercise competition, and it's just that was a great. Quote from you the other day that this is not an exercise competition. It's not just watts versus watts out here, and learning the game is so crucial. Knowing when to go, how to go.
How to
there's
draft,
been a lot
how to
of
wait. Yeah,
there's been a lot of criticism that's come as well. We'll go ahead and most of these teams have finished up here. We'll get into results in just a moment here, but early on there was a lot of criticism that came across about it being just about watts, or just being not realistic enough, and just a lot of opinions that came across for different reasons why people weren't performing the way that they wanted to, or wasn't working the way that they wanted to. But I really think that at this point we're starting to see, and it's the same way that when you start to see people who do something as their craft, and they master something, they get that good at it, that you can start to see the difference in their ability and how they can finesse, their sport. And I think that we really are starting to see that now with these top teams. TTT's really bringing that out as well with how people are drafting and using the draft amongst each other, the tactics they're using, but also in scratch races and points races, knowing the courses and when to go, how to go, and how do you draft amongst the pack and Zwift. It's just that much different that I think it took the bulk of the population that's out there a long time to learn it, because trying to bring traditional in real life cycling into it just wasn't working. And you got a lot of people trying to make the comparison, say, well, make it more that way. But I think we need to make it more the way that this genre is written. It's not like I'm going to ask them to take the sand and the mud off of a cyclocross course because I like to ride my road bike.
Exactly. I think, Nathan, while we have a moment and the results are being loaded up here, I had an experience this morning so I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's been really smoky here with the Cameron fire, the largest fire we've ever had in this state. And it's also this morning like 30 degrees outside. And I was on Zwift myself. I love it. And one of the pro riders that I admire so much on the Ceres the Pros Closet team, all of a sudden popped up on my screen, swooped around, and I was riding with her. And she gave me a shout out, and I was like, "Holy cow! We rode together for 40 minutes this morning." And
So
we
awesome.
connected where
Oh my
in the
God.
real world that would have never happened. But we had a conversation. I learned more about the team. I enjoy that experience so much. It connected me even more to the community. I feel that every day. And I get it. That's an isolated one-off experience, but that's Zwift community. You can ride with Kristen Armstrong, 3-time Olympic gold medal winner. And actually what's amazing is she'd probably enjoy your company. You know what I mean? Isn't that the greatest?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what this started as, was cycling is social. One of the first tags, coming out of cycling made social. Pretty awesome the way that we're able to interact and from our houses. I mean, that's in this digital world, very cool to see and be able to train together and push each other to get better. And that's what we're seeing out here as I'm seeing Rachel Elliott come on through. This is a great comment from Rachel. I always appreciate huge positivity and really understanding, what things are about when it comes to racing out on Zwift. She's saying, and this is a legend, obviously, amongst the Zwift community, and says, "We lost!" exclamation part. I love the fact that there's so much competition in the ladies, amongst the ladies right now. And that's another talking point amongst, the world of Zwifting is how much, equality that there really is out here, that there really is a space dedicated solely to women's racing. And WTRL, big shout out to them and the rest of all the women's teams, the women's organizations. I mean, WTRL aren't the only ones that are up to it. That's that's for sure. They've done a great job of exemplifying it at their race organization. But that's not something that we haven't seen necessarily in the cycling world before either.
The WTRL has worked so hard. It is absolutely amazing what that team has done here, and I wish we could peel back the curtain and show people exactly what has happened. It has been amazing, this transformation. Nathan, you put it perfectly. We're into a new era, and that didn't just happen. There's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes from the friends we have at Zwift, the friends at WTRL. So as you know, maybe you might see a glitch in data every now and then. Hang in there. It's all getting worked out. They're doing a lot of stuff to move us, and it doesn't happen overnight. Nathan, I think somewhere someone said Rome wasn't built in a day, and we have made so much progress here. So just keep the nose down to the grindstone like the racers have been out here. Today we had well over 4,000 racers, over 650 teams, 8 time zones. This is a movement of the people. This is what people wanted, team time trial racing. And WTRL built this from the ground up, brick by brick. And now we get to really enjoy this racing. And Nathan, you mentioned equality, and WTRL, much like Zwift. I mean, that women's virtual Tour de France this summer was awesome. And Zwift really leaned in on that event. Believe me, there's resistance out there, and it's less and less. But what Zwift did was say, no, we're going to make this happen. And it happened, and it was awesome. Same thing, WTRL, right? No one told them to treat the women the exact same way as the men, be completely equal. They did it because it's the right damn thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. We are getting some updates here. And yeah, well, we're getting updates that there's just 2 guys at WTRL. Thanks a lot, Martin. Let us know. Little reminder.
I called it a team.
Little reminder. So course records are updating. So it looks like UTT left the don't leave the pens when the banner drops, everybody. You got, if your time is supposed to be 6, 7, 10 minutes back, make sure you read the instructions, because the TT mode was definitely a way to get it done. So that's what happened there with the UTT course record. They are being updated. We'll take a look at them and see whether or not we could probably take a look at them right now and see how things are standing, unless I get yelled at. But let's go ahead and start taking a look at some results. Go ahead, Dave.
When we first started, when I was lucky enough to start working with you in March, I would have freaked out and been like, a 27:57, unbelievable. Nathan, they were, you learn to start, just like racers and everyone, you have to sort of take your time in Zwift. And there's so many Easter eggs that you're going to find along the way that'll give you real joy. Things like Jarvis the bear or, whatever it might be. There's a lot out there, but just learning this thing is a blast.
So question coming on in. What time am I racing, Nathan? I'm in the last zone of the day. I'm in zone 8. So whatever time that
What's your
is,
new
I think
team?
it's like
What's your
8:45.
guest team?
Yeah, I'm riding DDC Hayes again. So I'll be on Dutch Diesel again tonight. So I'll be streaming that over on the Nathan Guerra channel if anybody wants to come check that out. But it'll be just me suffering and breathing hard. But essentially, I'm really excited to see if we can get some of these tactics figured out and really down to a science written down to be shared out there. So we'll see what can happen there. Let's go ahead and start taking a look here at how things played out though on the day. The course records. I'm gonna put this up here real quick first, and this is the situation. Whoa! Woo! Wonder Women pulled it off. Wonder Women pulled it off. It looks like World Elite Zwifters. They held on to their old one. Innovation, their Alien Express. I think they just threw that down as well as Vikings Valhalla and TBR. We'll have to wait and see though. We'll see how that. But that is definitely for coming in from Wonder Women because there's the situation. I'll throw it to you, Dave, for these.
Congratulations to the Wonder Women, back-to-back wins. They're on a roll now. 36.09 is the platinum standard. Socks for Watts, oh, they're there. They're not going away. Like your worst nightmare, 36.31. This is going to be a really fun season, 2020. Boy, they get better every week. You can almost feel the knowledge seeping into that team. This week, they're only 33 seconds out with a 36.43. Congratulations on a bronze medal ride today, 2020. Sisu, I race like a girl. No surprise, they make the top 5. So these are all Premier League teams that we're looking at with Sisu in 4th. But then go to Zone 1, Australia. Aero, good job. One of our Zwift Racing League squads. They're going to take 5th place. Aeonian hangs on. 6th place today for the Aeonian ladies. Zeeksun R Hypernova in at 7th. Sisu Do 8th. TBR Watt Bomb in 9th. And Los Valientes in 10th. That was a heck of a day of racing for the Viennas. That's our women at the Premier League. Back to you, Nathan.
The Brat Pack, they pulled it off, and they're showing us exactly why they are the top team to be reckoned with, it looks like, in the Premier League as well. We'll see if they can try and, it's going to be interesting. We were chatting yesterday. I'm not going to spoil too much World of Zwift, but I'd be watching out for the BRT team here. As Pure Auto, though, Ceramic Speed, they were able to hold off for that second place, 5 seconds back, getting taken down, though, after last week. Restart ODZ, they're coming in for 3rd. Then it's going to be Vision D-Pack falling back to 4th. That was quite the battle there for that top 4. It was all tied up with 1.5 laps to go, but Pure Auto ends up coming out on top. WTRL Volendam there, as well as Callus Esports, holding off for 51 seconds back for 6th. No Pinzar 3R. Followed up by Evo Turbo Snails. Well, they actually came up a little bit there. Nice job, the Evo Turbo Snails, getting into 8th place to see if they can hold on for the rest of the day. Cryo RDT Vultures and the Dirt Diggler there. That's going to be a minute 30 back. 34.49 there at the top 10. Frappes, there you go, Dave.
Hey, thanks, Nathan. INC Alien Express in full effect with a 35.13 to take the win in the Frappe category. That's good as gold. For the silver medal, Evo Vortex 1, only 8.36 seconds out. That's close. Good job, Evo Vortex 1. Silver medal. Then you've got the bronze going to Tuga Z Rim. That's your podium there. They were only 23 seconds out, but what's more important is 1 second in front of 4th. I salute you guys. That's the battle royale we're looking for. It's going to be R3R Fleetwood Mac in at 4th, the chocolate medal. But as Nathan noted with the extra turbo snails, moving up that board is the name of the game. Keep it going, Fleetwood Mac. Cryogen, the turns in 5th. Kiss Racing Team B in 6th. It looks like we've got our first team coming out of Zone 2 here. Eat Dirt. They were the 7th fastest time. And then back to the Premier League, the race we just watched. Kirchmeier, the Austrian e-cycling squad, in at 8th. Then back to Zone 2. What a day came out of Zone 2. Dirty Steamers in for 9th. And then our Vikings, Fenrir. The top 10 times up to this moment, as we still have a lot of zones to head out on course. But that's where we're at right now. Nathan, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, and then we got Viking Valhalla coming in for first place, taking it down in the Premier League here, followed up by Team ODZ, Destroyers of Cookies. They're the monsters out there for second, it looks like. Team Type 1 Lance, it's their 38.038. They're in 3rd. Kirschmer E-Cycling in 4th. Tugas Nada, followed up by Eat Dirt 2. Los Frentigos coming in for that 7th place, then it's going to be Vikings Mjolnir and Team TFC Raptor. RR Woolly Rhinos there coming in for 10th place. You know, I'm always scared that I'm going to read through these too quickly and they're going to trick me one of these times to just say something I just should not be. That they're like, we'll get him. We'll get him this week.
I learned that at the 24-hour races. Those team names were dangerous to read. You could end up in jail after just updating a top 10. All right, the Mochas here, Nathan. TBR Z6M1 taking the win in the Premier League. RR Black Rhinos in for second, and Team TFC Hurricane round out our podium. They'll take the bronze medal. Los Ketchup in fourth. Fat Bees in fifth. Eat Dirk Trois in sixth. Viking Osberg seventh. And Golf finished in eighth. CICCB in ninth. And then WL Try 2. They finish in 10th here. Congratulations to all our Mocha racers. You make up a group of 4,000 of the coolest people I've ever met. All right, Nathan. Well, it was a great day out there. I can't believe week 80 is coming up next week.
Are we back out on Innsbruck? Is that right, Martin? Are we on Innsbruck?
We are not.
What's happening? What's happening next week, Martin?
We're going to Watopia's waistband next week.
Watopia waistband next week, everybody. It's not the 3 laps in Innsbruck. So Watopia waistband number 80 next week. Make sure to make your registration in before 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central time by next Wednesday. Lots of racing yet to go on. There's lots of other live streams out there as well. I want to let everybody know, if you have not checked out the individuals out there that are doing their own live streams, first person point of view, their racer point of view. It does help a lot to check those out. So make sure to go show support to the streamers that are out there showing their, their own points of view. It does help you learn how to do the tactics as well, especially with some of these top teams. Twitch, if you head on over to Twitch and you search Zwift, for the game, there'll be a ton listed there. I've seen, I think Viasen on Monday, you watch the number one team, I would say, out there right now when it comes to TTT, because that's the most competitive, I would say, group that you would see for TTT and out there. It'd be debatable. That's the debatable though, right? I mean, it's the top tier, but a lot of these teams, since it's the first season, we're still seeing a lot of the community teams reform and then try and get their way into the Premier League. So there's that reality as well, but. A lot of these top teams are streaming, so go ahead and check that out if you want to. Everybody else, so you can always see all of our replays over at YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We are live at all of those places. And actually, we started streaming to Periscope recently if you happen to like to open up Twitter and just hang out on Twitter. So, Dave, number 80 next week. We've got another charity going on this weekend, Paceline. You were doing a lot of reading from testimonials this past week. It seems, essentially we've had the month of October into November is kind of like our charity time right now, it seems.
It's funny. I'm not too proud to admit that they made me cry. You had to listen to that. Hey, that's the name of the game, right? It's really, really emotional. As Nathan mentioned, early Saturday morning, we're going to be out with this crew out of Augusta, Georgia, and they got a great motto. They're riding faster to cure cancer together. So I'd love it if you came and joined us. That's for sure. I promise I won't cry. Actually, no. I don't promise. You know what, Nathan? It's been that's one great thing about the Team Time Trial, though. There's no crying in Team Time Trial.
Baseball. There's no crying in baseball.
No crying in baseball.
No crying in baseball. Team Time Trial in either. That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all you. Great job to all the teams out there. We will see you Saturday morning, bright and early. It's going to be 7:30 my time, I believe, 6:30 Dave's time. I don't know what time it is in your time, but you can show up. Paceline charity ride. It's to fight cancer. Go ahead and show up, ride your bike, and donate it if you can. The links and everything is going to be in the descriptions. Besides that, we're going to have a full reset and back into the swing of things for ZRL starting Monday. World of Zwift will be out there on Zwift Live on Friday. Whew, it's nonstop out here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Right on.